I want you to imagine for a moment that you're a fire lookout in West Virginia. You're miles and miles away from civilization, surrounded by a dense forest high up on a mountain. And you're all by yourself. What does your life look like? How do you stay entertained? Do you get bored? Do you get lonely? I've been asking myself these questions ever since my interest in fire towers was sparked a few years ago. And today, I'm going to find out the answers.
Okay, so right now I'm in West Virginia with my friend Ian, and currently we are on our way to a fire tower. And if you've watched my channel for a long time, you know I am a big fan of fire towers. But this trip is a little bit special. You see, I've camped at fire towers before, but this is going to be different because not only will we be camping at the fire tower, but we will be lodging inside of the former watchman's cabin. And so, in a sense, we're going to be getting the same experience that an actual fire lookout would have gotten when they were working at the tower. However, in order to get to this tower, we're going to need a very good guide because it is one of the most hard to access towers in all of the Appalachian Mountains. Thankfully, we have the best man for the job, Skip Heater, the man who restored the fire tower and adjacent cabin. I'm looking forward to meeting him and asking him a few questions about what it was like to restore the tower, the significance of the tower and cabin, and just what life is like out here in the West Virginia Highlands.
There's old Ian, the gatekeeper. There he is. The coolest thing about bringing people up here is when you drop up over this knoll and you see the tower and the cabin and you hear people like, oh wait, can we stop? I want to get pictures, or I want to shoot some video to get here. And then when you get here and you just see how relaxed people are and they're like, oh my God, I had no idea this place was going to be this beautiful. This is beyond our expectations.
So what inspired you to restore the Bald Knob fire tower and cabin?
Well, we were out riding horses one day, just kind of exploring this area. We were new to snowshoe and new to this area, other than having previously ridden the train up here. So anyway, we're out looking for new places to ride horses on long-range trips. And from the stables up to this area, when we finally got here, we were right around 4-hour journey. Anyway, we saw the little road down by the railroad tracks that said flag stop, so we thought, let's go up that road. And I'd heard about a tower up here before, but I never knew where it was exactly. So anyway, we rode up that road and kept proceeding, got a little further up, and all of a sudden, boom, here's this beautiful view of this old tower that's kind of ragged, worn, torn, shot up, parts missing, glass missing, bullet holes, and an old rundown cabin. So we pulled up here and had lunch and basically kind of thought, wow, this would be a really neat place to try to do something with, and it's a shame that it's deteriorating as bad as it is.
Yeah.
So spent a good part of the afternoon here, watched a sunset, and got our way back towards the stables in the darkness. Then like a day or two later, I was down at Cass, and the Cass, oh, this is a state park, this area, Bald Knob, the Cass Scenic Railroad. I was able to chat with the superintendent at the time, planted a seed with him, and he forwarded it to Charleston, and about 4 or 5 years later, Charleston says, yeah, let's do something with it. And this is where we are now. As far as the restoration work, The state hired an engineering firm out of Elkins to basically structurally inspect the tower itself, and from best of my recollection, they got a historical grant to put it back exactly the way it was when it was built, and they did a fantastic job doing it. The cabin itself was like, I modified it, you know, made a bigger deck on the back, a bigger deck on the front, utilized the spruce trees that were down here to add a old-fashioned rustic log look, and kind of did some painting interior and exterior, and upgraded the old Knox stove work that's in there, the Meal Master, found parts online, fixed it, and spent about really through the winter and early spring about 6 months getting things worked out to where we could bring folks up here and ride in by horses and spend the night.
What was the biggest challenge that you encountered while you're working on the restoration?
Getting up here. I mean, it's a journey, and especially to bring a vehicle in here to haul the material, like all the decking. To give you an idea, the nearest real place to get wood would take us over 2 hours to go get decking, nails, screws, anything that we needed for construction here. So when you went out, you had to make sure that you had an adequate supply of material to begin with. Because once you got up here, if you didn't have something or forgot something, you know, you're looking 2 hours to retrieve anything. Our primary way of getting up here right now is by horseback, which, you know, generally takes 3.5 to 4 hours depending on the pace of the horses and where we're going. So folks can ride in here. They can get a Western experience without having to go out west, and kind of kick back and relax, be off the grid, totally unplugged. You know, you're no cell service, no light pollution, just a very unique area. So folks can come in pretty much by horse is our primary way of getting here. There's other ways of also getting here to where if you wanted to come in by train, which it's a little more effort and work to schedule with the train people to come up where we would meet you on horse and ride in here from the track area, or by four-wheeler for folks that don't want to do either of the above. So, or you can hike and bike in as well too, with, you know, reservations. And in the wintertime, we actually have folks that want to come up here just to hunt, some that want to cross-country ski in. But for the most part, most people want to do a riding experience in here by horseback. And then when they get a sit around the fire and hear some true local ghost stories, that just adds to it. And then when we have the nice clear nights to where you can, you know, observe planets, meteors, satellites, you know, Starlink, it's pretty impressive. And this area is very unique as far as the preservation of the steam engines, the Shea engines, and to even be here in the daytime and hear the whistle like someone would have heard over 100 years ago of a steam train coming up the mountain. And the views from the fire tower are unmatched. I mean, it's most people when they look at our pictures online, they're like, where is this? And you'll tell them West Virginia, they're like, no, it's not. Mm-hmm. And the same way with folks when they first ride up here on the horse, and the ones that are brave enough to go up in the tower. And there's been a lot of people that don't even want to get up there. They'll go up a few flights and they've had it, and once they get up there, they're like, this is just unreal. It's one of the most unique experiences I've ever had.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Well, Skip, thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. Man, this was great.
Such a cool experience to come up here, and I can't wait to see what the next 24 hours has in store.
Oh man, I hope it's a really clear night for you, so
get some stars. It'd be cool to get the Milky Way or something like that, or just a bunch of stars behind the
yep.
tower.
I'll get out here and let you guys get settled in, and when you get up there in that tower, you're going to be like,
I'm so excited. All right, Ian, for the next 24 hours, we are living as if we were fire lookouts. This is gonna be pretty epic.
All right, 24 hours begins now.
Skip, come back.
These concrete footers are huge. I have not seen footers this huge on a tower, ever. And Blalock's towers, this is the second Blalock's tower I've been to. Most of the towers I go to are of air motor or international derrick design. A lot of them have diagonal stairs, but none of them are as steep as Blalock's towers. The design of Blalock's towers is kind of crazy if you ask me. It's a little bit daunting, but it's gonna be 100% worth it, I'm sure. So even though the stairs are steep, you just get a good handhold on and you're good to go.
So steep, what the heck? I feel like I'm climbing a ladder.
Well, now, once you get like midway up the tower, the steps start to level out. Being surrounded by all these spruce trees is very, very cool.
We're about to see over those trees.
Oh, I'm seeing it. It's so cool.
Oh, wow. That is
All right.
beautiful.
Up into the cab we go. Holy moly.
Wow.
That is an insane view.
So pretty.
This is incredible. You can just see so much from up here. And Skip was saying earlier that while this is the second highest peak in West Virginia, this tower actually, once you're at the top of it, is the highest point in all of West Virginia. It's higher than Spruce Knob and even Spruce Knob's observation tower. So technically, right now, we're the highest people in all of West Virginia, which is just pretty cool to think about.
You know, Rocco, I've only ever been to 3. Rocco's been to over 60. I have to say this is the most well kept. Like, this looks everything here looks new and like very taken care of, and it's obvious that somebody's maintaining it, which is thanks to Skip.
This tower is probably the best restoration of a Blawnox tower you will ever see. Now actually on the other side of Snowshoe, there's where the Cass Scenic Railroad comes on its way up here. If you ride up to Bald Knob, there is Whittaker Station. There is a restored Blawnox Tower there at Whittaker Station that was relocated from Gauley Mountain. But that fire tower isn't really open to climbing. But it's still, that's the only other like actually restored Blawnox Tower that I know of. It's still just such a cool thing to see. A tower that was in serious neglect being like fully restored is just incredible. Now, normally an actual fire observer would have a table in the middle of the fire tower, which would house a map on a disc, and that map would line up with where a fire or smoke was spotted, and then they would call in to other towers to basically triangulate a fire. And as long as you had 2 or 3 different fire towers looking at smoke, they could triangulate it and then call up the Forest Service and they could go out and take out the fires. Now, I'm not too aware of the other fire towers that this one worked in tandem with. Now, technically there's one over there, but that tower was relocated. I don't know how far away its original location was, but I can't imagine it was too far away. But each tower worked in a network of about 2 to 3 other towers. And at one point, there were over 8,000 fire towers standing in the United States. And now it's about maybe 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 at most. And on the East Coast, a lot of the ones in the Appalachian Mountains that are not being used anymore due to the emergence of cell technology and satellites and, you know, just planes and the whole world becoming more interconnected, fire towers weren't really being used past the 1980s. And so a lot of them just fell into disrepair and they were kind of given up on. But these restorations serve as absolutely magnificent spectacles for the public to see just glorious views of God's creation. It's just such an awesome thing to actually finally be here in person. I've been wanting to come here for years, and it's just such an awesome moment. In terms of structural stability, I did not feel scared at all coming up this tower. And there have been some towers that I've climbed that were very scary to climb up, but this is just such a fantastic tower, and I'm so glad that it's been restored. And I mean, just look at this view. It's just crazy.
What would a fire tower lookout be doing at this time of day? Would he still be up here looking for fires, or would he be, preparing for sleep in the cabin?
I would say at this point, they would likely be preparing to go to bed. Once the sun is down, there's not really much to report unless they're on like high alert for fires. Like there's a wildfire currently burning and they still need you up in the tower to watch. At this point, like you're losing light, you're not going to be able to see as much, and you have to sleep anyways. So I would say if we were going to truly follow the fire tower watchman tradition, we wouldn't really be hanging out up here. But hey, if you're the fire watchman and you have your own cabin and your own fire tower to yourself,
You can do whatever you want.
exactly. So we're going to chill up here in the fire tower, and it's going to be a really fun time. Hopefully, now we can get some star shots. Looking out right now, it looks like the sky is pretty much clear, but only time will tell. We are in a great spot for like light pollution stuff. Although it's like not a full moon, but like 3/4 moon, which is not ideal. I still think we're gonna see a lot of cool stars, maybe even the Milky Way, because when we went to the other fire tower and we camped at that one, we saw the Milky Way even though the moon was out. So it's possible, and this is an even darker spot than the one we were camping at the last time we did a camping trip. So only time will tell, but I'm excited to it.
It's very possible.
Yeah, even at the very least, we can at least get some cool shots with the stars behind the tower, and maybe just chill out in the tower and look at the stars, which is pretty cool. It is finally morning, and the sun is about to rise, and we have a massive cloud inversion that is covering the entire valley, and it is just incredibly beautiful. It's just insane being up here, and the sky is about to light up. So we got the drones ready down there, and this is going to be epic.
This is gonna be so epic. Look at the sky. Colors are just insane.
This probably had to be one of the best parts of being a fire lookout. Just coming up in the morning, having the whole place to yourself, and seeing the whole world wake up. It's just such a cool feeling. We're the highest people in West Virginia. We're probably going to be the first people to watch the sunrise.
We've been here for about 16 hours now, and it's just been a really great time. After the sunrise, I ate breakfast and just explored around the area and took some photos, and it just feels so odd in a way to be the only person, aside from Ian, up here at the second highest point in West Virginia. And at the same time, it feels like perfect. It feels really good. Despite being so far away from civilization, I don't have a care in the world, and I'm just enjoying just the beauty of this place. And I'm really thankful for this experience so far. It's been a great time, and I can see why people would stay in fire towers and look out for months on end. It's a peaceful job, and I mean, some days might not be much going on. There may be foggy days that aren't as memorable or as pleasant, but even just getting a glimpse out here in the wilderness of what it was like to be a fire lookout has been an incredible pleasure. And I have serious respect for the people that did it, because as pleasant as it is, as beautiful as the place is, there's definitely a lot that goes with it. There's a lot of responsibilities. You gotta maintain the whole place. You gotta constantly be on the lookout for fires. But at the end of the day, now you can come and visit a fire tower like this one, and you can get a glimpse into the past. You can get a glimpse into what once protected the forest, once protected the towns. If it hadn't been for these fire towers, then a lot of forests would be gone. A lot of towns would have been leveled by fires. And I'm grateful that now, in 2024, several decades after they stopped using these towers, I'm still able to come up here and enjoy and get a glimpse into the past. Many of the towers across the Appalachian Mountains have been completely neglected and are falling apart and rotting. And I'm actually working on a larger documentary about those towers specifically, to bring attention and awareness to them. But to see this tower, which once was on a trajectory to completely fall apart, be restored, gives me a lot of hope for a lot of the other fire towers that are still standing across the Appalachian Mountains. There's so much history in every single tower. There's tons of stories to be told, and it's been such a cool privilege to just see this tower and the cabin and get to experience it firsthand. And I would recommend anyone, if you want to come up here, I would absolutely go for it. And even if you can't get to this fire tower and book a trip here, I would recommend trying to do some research and find one near you. There's so much history to be found, and you can appreciate it so much more when you're standing at the tower, and then if you can climb it, it's even better. We have about 8 hours left until Skip comes back to pick us up. And so in the meantime, we're just gonna rest, enjoy the peacefulness, and then after that, Skip will pick us up, and it'll be the end of the trip, which is just crazy to think about. It feels like we just got here. I wish I could stay longer, but it means I'll have to come back sometime, and I would absolutely do so.
Man, I think that this was one of the most incredible experiences. Life up here is so different. Like Rocco was saying, like the weather, you don't know what you're gonna get. We got a beautiful cloud aversion this morning. Whatever it is, like you climb up here and you know that you're gonna have like just such an incredible view. I also just really like the facilities. Like I would come back here just because of the cabin and just the whole peaceful atmosphere. Like this is like glamping at its finest. I was a little disappointed that we didn't spot any fires though.
Yeah.
I mean, we did make one. We did make one, but it was contained. We didn't have to report it or anything.
Yeah.
So.
Imagine the fire lookout having to report themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Oops, I accidentally set the whole forest on fire.
I bet that probably happened at some point.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it has.
No bears too. No bears.
That was nice.
Yeah.
This was bear country.
So no bears, no fires. I say it's a really good trip.
Yeah.
And on top of that, like, it was an incredible location.
Just taking one last look before we go. I feel like we're on a podcast right now. We don't know what to talk about.
Yeah, I do. It's like, all right, we're going to take some of the questions from the audience. Type in the chat.
Little John asks if they have galvanized square steel up here. And yes, actually, we've got galvanized square steel, screws that I borrowed from your aunt, and then we have eco-friendly wood veneer. So this is durable for 10,000 years for a luxurious experience.
In the end, look at this fully functional cabin. Oh, this is great.
Galvanized square steel.